Good evening and welcome everyone here to GTRC WTCC round 4. And as you see, it is a bit rainy here in Austria. I think the last time we had a race here was 2 seasons ago, and it was absolutely chaos in the rain. And also Mr. Sutters is here. Hello Will, welcome.
Hello Dominik, how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty fine, especially when I see the weather. And I think that is something that you like too. Yeah, I think a few guys learned from the mistake the last time we were here. Put on the right tires, but it's also not looking like the qualifying will get dry enough to change to something different than wet tires. So yes, we had a lot of changes in the championship situation, and we might have even more as Tyler Davison, the current championship leader, is not able to race tonight.
Ooh,
so
not at all.
Yeah. Maybe race 2, but if everyone shows up, he's still on tentative. So
interesting. So we will see a shift then. See if Jake Witchell shows up and then he can get some solid points in the bag.
So currently Lucas Wake, the fastest one on track. Yes, we should see Ridwan the first time this season.
Hopefully he did say he was finding it easier to get up this time of the day. I know he's got the sort of Australian time zone, so it sort of throws him off a bit.
It's always crazy that he setting his alarm to race in here. So Wake is looking pretty quick at the moment, and it will be really interesting, as this is normally four-wheel drive weather. But there are no more four-wheel drives, and there is Ridwan Hamza.
First time this season. Lucas Wake, 1.8 seconds ahead of Tom Holland. I mean, I know it's only practice, but he's put an absolute stonker of a lap for that. Even a second faster than Lucas Wake. He's not exactly slow.
We're still P3 in the championship, 2-time race winner. And we might see the 3rd race winner this season. I think 4 times were Davison the winner, and 2 times Serrao. There's Witchell also.
Good to see. John Mills as well.
Lobby is filling. So sign-in wise, we should have a full lobby.
Fingers crossed. I mean, we saw Aston Lewis is not feeling too well today, so he won't be racing. But he'll be back next week.
Aston Lewis is signed in as driving. He was on the waiting list, but as Lipscomb said he cannot race, he is now confirmed to race. But we're gonna see. We currently have 8 cars on track.
Still another 6 spaces. It's good to see Ridwan back. And we finally got 2. So we finally got 2 FR cars on the track, but Tyler Davison's not in. He's just watching power slide into the back straight. It was quite a weird one last season with Ridwan. He absolutely dominated the first few rounds. Just
yes.
Hit the ball out of the park and then just disappeared, leaving Jason Grant to effectively pick up the pieces.
I think there was at some point there was the turning point when he wasn't able to win the championship. I think he was not that motivated to show up. So now Ruben Serrao in the practice, the fastest one.
So you never know, might Salika's wake on the podium for the first time this season.
He's looking absolutely brilliant on these conditions.
You might have a little Jensen Button here, who's a whole lot faster in wet weather conditions. Without taking the wet weather line, he knows his stuff.
Kubinski is not a bad driver, and he's almost 3 seconds behind. Now he's improving a lot. But as we see on the grip meter, the track is still super wet. So Kieran Cameron, the second Hyundai Genesis for Nexus Racing. Quickly check who's already in. So it's just Kevin who's not on track. Quickly ping those guys. Oh, you already did.
There's nothing much interesting going on the track here, and Kevin thinking intermediates are going to be the right way forward, which I think is safe to say it isn't.
Yes, it is. Definitely not intermediate weather. You might realize during the qualifying, and as we know that the conditions will repeat in the qualifying, and we're still having wet conditions.
It's under a minute to go for qualifying as well. Who do we think is going to take the pole position then?
Well, it's really difficult at the moment. The rear-wheel driven cars look a bit in the advantage when Serrao and Hamza are leading in the practice session, but we also know that the times we get in the qualifying are usually a bit quicker than what we see in the practice. And also in Sector 2 the track looks a bit drier, so the times might drop. Get quicker. Big slide and a spin from Hamza. So it's really difficult to drive out there.
It's 10 cars, so not as many as we anticipated, but it's,
we might see someone join a bit later.
Qualifying underway though.
Yeah, will be also interesting for the Tom Coronel Trophy, as only Holland and Van Aert are currently, Van Aert who set the fastest lap right now.
The two drivers at the back as well, and the second two drivers on 79 and 51 points, Holland and Van Aert. Only 12 points between them, but
cars are going out on track. Let's see who's the first one. Currently see Van Aert. It is.
Weirdly not Tom Holland this time.
No, it is Dominik Kubinski. And let's take a quick onboard view how difficult these conditions are. Interesting that he is going for the braking point on the curb, Usually you're trying to avoid the curb on these conditions. A lot of wheel spin here on the acceleration.
We might see quite a storm as well from Van der Speck. I mean, we haven't seen him on form so far this season, but everything seems to be in the odds. He's back on his preferred gaming input, whether that's controller or steering wheel. They're boring as well, because it's normally quite good around here.
And he knows how to drive in the rain.
Exactly, so you never know. This could be a four-way fight at the front. So Lucas Wake just pulls out a gap to everyone. Lucas Rayon is piling into the back of him there. Watch Kubinski go round this time, see if this is the first car out on a timed lap.
It's now over the start and finish line.
We're staying on the normal racing line, but the water's going to bring up all the oil and the grease from the tyres and make it slicker. You want to avoid that as much as possible.
And you see what can be the problem on the front wheel driven cars. Even more understeer than usual. Into turn 1. You need to get your car as straight as possible out of a corner to continue with the acceleration.
Doing Hamza with a half-second penalty. I don't think he's going to be letting the time of water on fire just yet. We're now heading to turn 4.
So the 3 cars of Kubinski, Van Aert and Van der Speck looking on a pretty similar pace. The gaps from the time they started the lap are pretty much the same.
Van der Speck taking a much tighter line there compared to
Power oversteer Van Aert.
Let's see what Kubinski can do heading into the final 2 corners. As he goes all 4 over the white line, is that going to give him a penalty? Let's find out. Look at the timing line, what can he do? 53.2. Van Aert 7 tenths faster already.
And Van der Speck half a second behind Van Aert. Witchell
as well, P2, 52.7.
Mills with a 53.9. Wake 54.3. Then the guys who probably picked up penalties or left gaps. Woolaka joined, so he will start from the back of the grid. Purple sector 1 here from Witchell.
I think he's going to be quite happy that Davison's not turning up after being stuck behind him for the last couple of weeks. Perfect opportunity for some points, but whether Van Aert's still on provisional pole, almost 3 tenths ahead, if we keep Witchell at bay.
I think this qualifying will be big oversteer from Van der Speck. Van Aert 3 tenths up to his own PB. He's getting closer and closer to Kubinski. Because we saw the track got a lot better at the end of the qualifying. So it's now driving as much water as possible from the track. And
52.0.
Van der Speck really close, just a tenth behind him. Holland improving.
What can he do? Still only good enough for P3.
Lucas Wake, invalid lap time with the penalty. Sereo 53.4. Hamza 54.8. Kevin 59.9. But I think Sereo, Kevin and Hamza were really close on their hot lap, so that might be the reason.
At the moment, I think the track seems to be the wettest at that top section, just comparing the little dial in the corner, comparing it to Kabinski, and so Sereo was going up the back straight at the time, but weirdly Kevin on intermediate still as well, didn't think to change over to the wets. His teammate John O'Mills as well in the gravel at turn 4.
This is the point, as we are now 7 minutes in the lobby, where you should realize that this is not the tire to go, because 7 minutes is, as we're expecting a race with the wet conditions, somewhere around 25 minutes maybe, where you can go for the pit stop, as tire wear is not that important today. But now Kevin is improving 4 seconds.
Maybe you know something that we don't.
Van der Speck 52.1. and which are now 52.055 on provisional pole. And that's definitely a penalty for Kevin. Sereo 52.5, Hamza 52.4, so now he's getting on pace. Oh, no penalty for Kevin, still an improvement from about 5 seconds. And Lucas Wake, really surprised that he's on P9 at the moment. Witchell only leading by 1/1000th of a second to Van Aert.
Wow. It's going to be close, isn't it?
Currently keeping the British flag up, followed by the international train.
Kevin exits the pits. What is he on? He's still on intermediates. The track does seem to be drying out, so maybe he reckons he can burn some fuel before it gets into that.
It might give him advantage at the end of the session, but also the other guys can switch to the intermediate tires. Witchell improving.
He's going to be one to keep an eye out for, but you never know.
If he's not switching before the race, he will have no chance on the intermediate tires. That's for sure.
But you're basically sliding the car, getting almost forcing the front end to grip up.
Kubienski 52.5. Can Witchell bring this short improvement to the line? Yes, and it's a big improvement in the final sector.
It's a lot of pressure under Van Aert.
Van der Speck on a penalty. Let's see if Hamza can improve. Oh, no improvement from Witwan Hamza.
Still P2.
Tom Holland now more than half a second improvement on the first sector. Definitely has to find some pace. Cavern again in the pits.
Into the pits. Van Hart doesn't seem to be making much progress, seems to be stuck behind Van der Speck. He's about to take a penalty
Tom
to
Holland
slides there.
lost all his improvement in the second sector. I don't know why Kevin is always pitting when he's going out on inters anyway.
Into the pits as well. What is he going to do? Is he going to take the intermediates, or is he going to stick to the
Van
wet?
Aert improved.
Very weird line. He seems to be running quite deep. As he just lets Van der Speck past. I think he knows he's trucked another lap into the
Silvia is going for a new set of tyres. Lucas Wake improving to a 53.4, which brings him to P8 now.
What can he do?
It's a 2-minute whatever. That was a bigger mistake.
Oh, Kabinski going to intermediates. Interesting one there.
So as we see the track conditions, and Kabinski is struggling a lot on the tires, but he was way off the racing line. So I think if you hit the line perfect, the intermediate can work, but still we see Jonah Mills. It's still over the second line.
Very late there, braking and just into the kitty litter in turn 3.
Tom Holland is second down, Cavern on a penalty.
Not much seems to be going on.
Witchell on his way to the line.
Van der Speck takes another set of wet tyres. The only driver up here really uninterestingly on inters is Kabinski.
Witchell is backing out in the pits. And hard on his outlap. Also Van der Speck on his outlap. Hamza's lap again is not looking that quick. It seems that he's not really familiar with the rainy conditions. So let's see what Kubinski and the Inters are able to do.
The rain does seem to be finishing off, doesn't it?
No, not really. I think sector 1 and 3 are still super wet. The middle sector looks a bit drier, but yeah, already lost 6/10 in just one corner. So Witchell seems to be happy with the time. Jonah Mills out on track on the soft tires. Don't have a clue what this strategy is. Van Aert invalid lap time.
Tom Holland almost half a second up on himself. At the moment looks good enough for P7. I think we should keep an eye on him.
He should be the first one to finish the qualifying, as we cancel out Jonah Mills and Witchell, who are still in the pits.
And he's run deep.
Bit struggling to keep the car in the limits.
Is it going to be good enough?
No
It's
improvement.
not. Justness is out. Disappointing for Tom Holland there. Van Aert with a penalty. It looks like it's all on Van der Speck and Soraya.
Hamza should be the next one to finish his lap. while Lucas Wake is letting them pass. This is looking much better than the previous laps.
Somewhat of a dry land now, isn't it? There we go. Oh, and he's just missed out.
So pole position for Witchell.
Well, just over 3/10 of a second to Van Hart. Very impressive for Van Hart actually in P2.
Then the Bose Helix Lexus, followed by Ridwan Hamza on P5. Really close together. P2 to P6.
Just gonna keep track of this as well, as we've got to add Michael to the back of it. So let's just end that quickly. Let's change that so we can set the grid.
Maybe you could extend the timer of the end of the race.
True. I think we missed out on quite a few laps there.
Hamza and Vendersbeck are a bit complaining, as they were probably improving.
No, right, let's set this so. Mitchell from Van Hart, from Vanderspeck. From Soraya. Hamza from Kubinski. And John O'Neill. Lucas Wake. Tom Holland.
Woolacott first appearance this season, I think.
At the back. There we go, we're all good to go. Let's just double check everyone's on the right tyres for once.
Wait, this.
Kieran Kevin is on softs for some reason, which we don't really want to see because he'll just fall back, never to be seen again.
Kevin is saying he's on wets.
There we go, yeah, he's changed him now. And by the looks of it, everyone is there. Awesome. Right, let's get this one on the road.
Yes, sir. It will be a pretty interesting start.
Van Hart, Vanderspeck, I think are gonna take Witchell into turn 1.
I think
rear-wheel drive is always pretty better.
Front-wheel drive disadvantage might be slightly bigger in the wet, but we're gonna see. It's not that long way to turn 1.
Wide lights. There's lights out, and let's see who gets ahead. They're all squirreling away. It's Van Hart who gets a good go, and Vanderspeck gets stuck between them, and it's 3 wide into turn 1. 3 into 1 never works. Vanderspeck on the outside, what can he do? Contact between him and Van Hart, and he takes the lead. Clean around the outside. What a move.
Brilliant maneuver. And
John
Jodo Mills
well
with a brilliant start. Sereo messed it up a bit.
Hill.
Dropped down to P6. Now let's see.
Now there's going to be carnage into turn 2. Everyone's
Looking clean, and Jonah Mills is going for the move against Stein van Hart. And is now on the podium. Hunting Witchell for P2.
He's going to have that exit as well. He's going to have more grip on
Sereo
the inside.
Passed meanwhile Hamza.
Hits Witchell, and who in turn hits Van der Speck, who gets ploughed off in turn 3. Unlucky from him. I think that's going to be a penalty for Jono Mills. Absolute shame. Van der Speck had a brilliant start there. And it's all been thrown away.
So now Witchell is leading. Sereo attacking, and Hamza is going off.
Another potential winner in the gravel.
It seemed that there was contact on the rear between him and Cavern.
So to play for now then. Two of the biggest players.
And Hamza spun again on the dirty tires.
It's getting worse and worse.
So two potential winners currently out of the race. Jono Mills with a half-second penalty. Van Hart now has the inside line for turn 1. And Witchell can benefit of this fight. Jono Mills is driving not that patient here. Again contact, but Van Hart managed it. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty. But usually the game should realize that there was contact before and it was not his fault. Yes, no penalty from Van Hart. Let's see if Mills can hit his breaking point for turn 3. Yes, he did.
Look on the inside of Sereo, but the rear-wheel drive Torquay V8 Lexus storms back past him on exit.
Kubinski now in the slipstream. Kieran Cavern made it up to P6, so the Hyundai Genesis seems to work pretty good in the rain. But again, late on the brakes. Slightly contact to Kubinski.
So he shuts the door on him. He's going to have a look around the outside, which turns into the inside for the next corner. He's not close enough. So finding grip on the inside there, but not enough.
I just have to wait for the penalty zone to make the move.
So really fighting the Lexus out of the corners.
Van der Speck and Hamza still on P10 and 11, 10 seconds down to the rest of the grid. Really unlucky start.
Of Jono Mills, who gets bumped wide, has another look, and again just piling into the side of him. Gives the position back at least. Falls into Kieran Kevin's lap, his teammate, who has a look to the inside. Think better of it. I'd like to point out as well, down, doesn't seem like much, but down in P9, Michael Woolacott, zero practice whatsoever. He is keeping up with Lucas Wake.
Yes.
Back up front, things seem very quiet for Jake Witchell and Van Hart.
And another contact here between Mills and Kubinski. Kubinski went right and Cavern is now going for the move. Lost 2 positions.
What's Kubinski going to do? Is he going to play it cool, or is he just going to bump him off himself? No, he just goes clean down the outside of Cavern. Solid move there.
Oversteer from Cavern. Now Kubinski has the inside line for the next corner. He's playing it a bit smarter, backing out of the situation.
Still got another 11 laps left. Knows that I think Jono Mills is going to get penalty for
almost
some of those
2 seconds clear. Sereo 2 seconds behind Van Hart. Then it's Jono Mills, Kieran Cavern and Kubinski.
Kieran Cavern runs wide, Kubinski couldn't avoid him.
Now Tom Holland immediately behind Kubinski. He's going for the move.
Coming up the inside.
And has Kevin slipstream. Move done.
I'm going to take a look. He does. Tom Holland to the inside into turn 2. Kubinski plays it smart.
Little punt here from Holland against Cavern. Kubinski gained the position.
2 places, very smart move there. Seems to be the king of double overtakes, doesn't he, Kubinski? As he did it into Lagos as Jono Mills runs slightly deep there.
Also Kieran Cavern. And Tom Holland with the switchback. While Mitchell can extend his lead, Sereo is gaining a lot on Van Aert. Mills still on P4. Not talking about yet how he got this position. Let's see, Hamza and Van der Speck are almost back on Woolacot's rear, only 5 seconds to gap.
Van Aert with a half-second penalty as well. Just going to spice things up just a little bit. As he runs deep into turn 1. As he gives away the position there. He tucks it up nicely under his rear wing. Pulls to the left. Head up the hill now into turn 2. He's going to come out ahead. Playing it smart.
Good exit here from the Lexus.
Like I said, all the grip on off the racing line. That's where he just keeps it nice and straight.
Van Aert now with the slipstream.
Has a look, forces Sereo into the mistake, who runs deep almost onto the grass.
Kubinski still a bit stuck behind Jono Mills. Cavern with a half-second penalty. Also Tom Holland not. Michael Woolacott nearly in attacking range to Lucas Wake.
He's only going to get more comfortable in that Scirocco as the pro races go on. Not much really happening on track though. I mean, P2 and 3 doesn't seem to be losing Jake Witcher, he doesn't seem to be pulling ahead.
It will be interesting now for the second half of the race. I think Lucas Wake, the first one in the pits.
Nope, Michael Woolacott.
Woolacott.
You may well even see 2 stops this race. It might get dry enough towards the end.
I don't think that the time game will be worth a second pit stop, but these guys surprised us more than once. Kubinski now with a better exit out of turn 3. But he's not gaining enough on the straight against the Hyundai. So it's really difficult for him to overtake. He has to wait for a mistake.
And a real piece of action seems to be happening on track, to be fair, which is quite a rare thing to say in this series. Like he's in the corners, he's just catching him like a disease almost. Out of that middle sector. Kaminski with the better exit. Just can't quite get it to work though. Looks like John O'Neill might be trying to pit, but
no, Kubinski made it on the inside as John O'Neill went wide, and that's definitely a pit lane violation.
Whether the game judges it slightly different at this contact, I'm not too sure.
So Sereo, Kevin and Mills are now in the pits.
Where it doesn't seem to be affecting the cars too badly actually, because there's 0 points taking a set of tyres. Rudensway knows that, and they're taking fuel.
The wet tyres are absolutely made of steel. As long as the track is not bone dry. And it is Jono Mills who's going out on track on softs.
Whatever he had left of that race, he has thrown away the 3-second penalty as well.
So this is also
lap of his life
already in the barrier.
He's going to be kicking himself, and Michael Woolacott goes past him, who's on intermediates.
So Mills absolutely throwing away a brilliant result. Witcher now almost 6 seconds ahead of Van Aert.
Really pulling ahead, isn't he? I don't know whether Van Aert is taking it slow to...
I think Van Aert has to fuel save a bit. I think he might be...
He's not got much left. He's basically running on fumes. Fingers crossed he doesn't just run too deep. As Kubinski does another lap along with his teammate. Tom Holland 2, Lucas Wake.
Swift and Hamza is the next one in the pits. This could also result in a 3-second penalty. Van der Speck also in the pits. Let's see where Van Aert is getting out of the pits and where Sereo is coming.
On Van Aert as well on inters. Maybe he's going to brave it for a few laps and see if it dries out like it does in qualifying.
Lost a lot on his in-lap. 7 seconds behind Sereo now.
All eyes now on the front two, Witcher and Kubinski. What are they going to do? The pack leaders, if you will. Which is
yellow flags here.
Yellow flags. I think that's going to be
Jono Mills. Yes, he is.
There he is. Struggling to get his car round. He knows there's a faster car there. Wasn't really anything either of those drivers could do. I mean, Witcher was slowed up slightly, but it wasn't like Jono Mills could really go anywhere.
Let's see if Kubinski can.
Doesn't really slow him down.
But at least everyone made it round Mills' car pretty safe.
And then Hamza as well. Bit of wheel-to-wheel action for once. Let's see what happens. Look at that track already drying out.
And Cabot going for the inside line.
So way of sticking on wets. Don't know whether that's going to pay off in the long run.
So for the moment the undercut worked for Sergio. But it seems that the track is now dry enough for the Inters.
There's a great gaggle of cars as well now.
And Hamza making his way around Holland, and Cavern inside line against Holland. Wider line for Holland. Lost a bit of time on the wet AstroTurf. And Vandersbeck also back on P8.
Although on those wet tyres, is he going to have to pit again? Just looking at this onboard,
Mills.
Very many drops of water. He's just going to have to let everyone by.
Doesn't look like that's the thing he wants to do.
Tom Holland has a look at Kieran Kevin on the inside, takes the move, bit of contact.
Penalty here for Hamza. And absolutely unnecessary what Mills is doing here. Ignoring the blue flags for almost. Because there's absolutely nothing to win for him. He's about 2 minutes down. Sergio still leading, but only 2 seconds left.
I think the swap to dry tyres is going to be imminent. I'm looking at it. Purple sectors as well from John O'Neill, of anybody. And Hamza with a half spin manages to keep it out the gravel, but Kieran Kevin pushes his way between the two. Next 2 positions, channeling his inner Dominik Kubinski.
Vandersbeck overtook, no, it was Mills here, and Holland in the gravel.
So what are people going to do? Are they going to go for the dries? Or are they going to stick it out for one more lap? Tom Holland
in the gravel again, and also should be Jonah Mills.
Letting everyone pass under blue flags. Not exactly how he should have been doing it, but
Vandersbeck still the quickest on track on the wet tyres.
Gibbons Ray going through the puddles just to keep his tyres cool. And Ridwan Hamza with a spin into the barrier at the final corner. Big accident there.
He's on the wet tyres. I don't know if he just lost the car. Vandersbeck was really close. Woolacott now with the fastest lap. And we now might get to a point where both tires are getting useless.
Is it worth sticking out until the end, or
losing about 25 seconds on the tires? Don't think you will gain that.
Into the gravel at 10.3. Jordan Vandersbeck takes his position. Back up into the top half of the grid where, to be fair, that is where he belongs.
A lot of purple sector 2 times now. Doesn't matter if you're on intermediates or on the wet tires. But fastest lap by Woodcock is set on inters. And Witchell now is in the same second with Sereo. Fastest lap for Witchell. 2 seconds quicker than Woodcock's lap.
Takes the risk. He's cut the line as well.
We're gonna see. I don't really think that it will work out to the end.
Woodcock is all over the back of Kieran Kevin. He's biding his time.
And Kevin with the penalty. So top 5 would be a brilliant result for Woodcock on his comeback debut this season.
And look at that with a dive bomb. Kieran Kevin with the switchback. Van der Speck finally out of the pits, onto the dry line. What can he do?
Then Hart. Not the best second half of the race. Pitted in P2, now in P4. And Witchell and Sereo still searching for the left wet spots on the track.
6 tenths between the two. Who tenths that lap? Witchell quicker than Sereo.
And there must have happened something to Cavern, as Cavern is now on P7, lost the positions against Wollacott and Holland.
Did have a half-second penalty. I don't know whether that would have been enough to drop him behind Holland, but Wollacott
lost 4 seconds.
And a half left. Sereo running deep, but rear-wheel drive is going to aid him out of the corner. He leaves the gap for Witchell. With his grip around the outside.
Big drift here from Witchell. Attack on the inside.
Very nice move. Here comes the final sector, final 2 corners. Ultimate time. Van der Speck.
Yellow flags again.
The first corner. Yellow flags. No potential overtakes there. And he is literally just sat there.
Kubinski behind Van Aert, sitting on a half-second penalty. Van der Speck's controller broken. So the gear of the Helix guys is not really consistent this season. Last week Sereo's wheel died. Now Van der Speck's controller. Kubinski trying to go for the move against Van Aert. gets it done, but still half-second penalty.
It's going to be quite an interester, isn't it?
So Jake Witchell is about to be the third winner this season.
Solid race from start to finish. Drop back after the start, but took the win.
With the fastest lap, Saraya on P2. Van Hart. Now with the
drive from him.
Big gap to Kubinski. Podium for the privateer. Kubinski P4.
This season, I believe. And look at that, Michael Woolacott. He better not be spinning over the line. And look at that, P5, very solid.
Holland P6, Cavern will finish P7. Lucas Wake on P8.
He's a P9. It's going to be one to forget for him, isn't it?
And Van der Speck could finish on P11 at least.
Make sure to save the replay this time.
Yes, I will be backup saver as well. So Van der Speck's controller seems to work, so he might be good for race 2. I think he just baited everyone and wanted the pole position for the second race.
Well, that's the thing, is he going to be allowed that if they're causing yellows? It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean,
he was catching up. I think he could have finished higher. I think he wouldn't have made it back to his position, but I think P8, maybe P7 was possible on this strat.
they're going to be happy about this one. No more rain. Or is there?
It's just slightly dark.
Wait for everyone to enter then. Make sure everyone's on the right tyres again. Midway Hamza, I don't think he's going to be one of starting on wets.
Bet that he still won't be the slowest in the grid, even on wets.
I think we should just forget about Chuck Norris memes and stop making Ridwan Hamza memes instead.
Well, but only because Tyler Davison is missing at the moment. We had, over the last few seasons, a lot of impressive drivers in here. Unfortunately, some of them not at the same time. Would be really interesting to see Witchell, Hamza, Davison and Shaheen maybe against each other.
Bloody good, interesting one to watch, wouldn't it? With equal cars, big invitational event. That'd be something I'd love to see. Just setting the grid now, going back to the front. No, I don't want to discard my changes. I'm not doing that again. Oh, right, there we have it. So we have Jordal van der Speck on pole position, and John O'Neill's alongside. Ridwan Hamza P3, Lucas Wake finishing up the second row of the grid. The second Nexus car P5, Kieran Kevin, Tom Holland in P6. Michael Woolacott after an impressive race 1, starting P7 alongside Dominik Kubinski. Stein Van Hart P9, Ruben Serrao and Jake Witchell finishing up the grid.
So after this first race, Jake Witchell has taken the lead, followed by, I think Serrao should be now in P2. It is really close up there. I think Davison is on 122 points. Serrao should be on 125 and 129 for Witchell, if my math was good enough.
Might help if I had the right bleeding start type sorted out. Swear to God, if I've got to set this one again, I'm going to start swinging. And I don't. Oh, thank you, GT7, the first good feature this game's ever had.
Grit is saving, I guess.
Let's hope John O'Neill's is going to get off those wets. There we go. And I think we're all set. Second race of the evening. Which I apparently can't start because some players are still initialising. Ooh. That's interesting. Serrao just... We'll wait a couple of minutes and I think Ruben Serrao. So.
Better now than a few minutes later.
Oh yeah, definitely. It'd be a shame to lose Serrao in the race.
Oh yes, look into Discord. Hamza sent a nice little picture.
Just car parked sideways in the pit.
So a little bit more warm up for these guys to get used to this conditions.
Who do we think is going to be winning the reverse grid then?
So Van der Speck looked pretty quick also in the qualifying. Was unlucky in the first race. Made a good comeback. Then, in my eyes, not the best decision to switch for the softs. I think this cost him too much time. And with clean air, he should be quick enough to early disappear from the grid.
Yeah.
If he keeps himself out of trouble.
He was leading into turn 3, and then, you know, being kind of it's not the best thing in the world, I can't lie.
But also Ridwan Hamza is definitely, as he's not that far back in the grid, a guy we should have an eye on, and then it really depends on how quick Witchell, Serrao, and also Kubinski, who I expect a lot quicker on the dry conditions, how quick they are gonna make their way through the grid. I think it could be a bit easier for Witchell and Kubinski, as there's at least Tom Holland, who might not be the biggest barrier for the Team Spirit cars to overtake.
He's going to make that swift as narrow as possible, isn't he, for Jake Witchell and the co. Witchell now with the lead of the championship, I think. Or in fact, either him or Serrao, I think it is going to be Witchell.
But yeah, we should not forget that Serrao, that Holland is still competing for the Privateers Trophy, for the Tom Coronel Trophy. And so also for him every point counts, especially in a race where two of his opponents are missing. So Van Aert and Holland will make a big jump in the standings.
There we go, so we're finally here. Let me readjust the... There we go, starting from the second to last slot. We're all ready, let's get this show on the road.
Nice little jump here from Wake in the barrier.
Rolling start as well. It's not going to work in the favour of the cars further at the back.
So let's see how quick Hamza can overtake Jonah Mills. He was pretty quick in the wet conditions, until also he made some poor decisions.
John O'Neill's already right on the back bumper of Jordan van der Speck.
Penalty for Mills. Hopefully Van der Speck not getting any flashbacks. But Mills has to care a bit more about Ridwan Hamza.
Bit of contact between Hamza and John O'Mills. Lucas Wake now all over the back of him.
Tighter line here for Wake, side by side to Hamza. But Hamza has the inside line for the next corner.
Tries to copy Witchell. Can't quite get the move to stick, which all falls into the hands of Tom Holland, who's now makes it a 4-car battle for second place.
Jonah Mills will now drop. Contact here between Holland and Mills is in the barrier. Van der Speck also with a half-second penalty now. Witchell P8, Cavern P9, Sereo P10 at the moment. Now attacking Cavern, made the move on the outside line. Already on P4. Like I said, Holland was not the biggest barrier, but
no, I don't think he had too good of an exit out of turn 1, and Kubinski took advantage of that straight away. Didn't need to be asked twice.
Willakut should now be able to pass Tom Holland, who's on a half-second penalty. And contact here between Stein van Hart and Witchell. Pushed Witchell a bit wide, gave Sereo the opportunity to overtake. Witchell with the counter.
There we go, now up. Let's go back to top 3. Things are going to start to get interesting. Van der Speck is going to defend that first position.
And Lucas Wake is absolutely quick. He's gaining time on both drivers. So maybe the first fastest lap might be set from Lucas Wake. No, it's Kubinski. But this thing here in the front can evolve to a really great 4-way battle.
I think it's finally good to see Van der Speck and Hamza in with similar sort of cars. From last season. We've got Hamza's all over the back of him. Is he going to go for a look? He doesn't. Lucas Wake now with a half-second penalty.
Also Wolacott. And the guys who are behind will definitely see with a happy eye on it. Van Hart dropped back to P10 after the penalty. Vandersback a bit wide here. Another half-second penalty for him.
Seems to be too close to the penalty zone there to serve it this lap.
Burn it next lap. Kubinski took advantage of Lucas Wake's penalty. Also Tom Holland did on Wolacott's penalty. So no one really going for an early pit stop here.
There we go again. Up into turn 2. What's Hamza going to do? He's going to keep second position. He's going to try and get the switch back. Vandersbeck defending very well, keeping to the inside of the track. Doesn't leave enough space for Hamza to take a look. Yes, he does. Hamza pulls out of it.
I mean, he knows that Kubinski a bit wide here. Lost a bit of momentum out of the corner. And this time Hamza was a bit wide, I think.
Don't think that will earn him the penalty there, will it?
Seems to be fine for the game. Vandersbeck moving off the racing line.
Doesn't lose too much time to rid one.
And going into the pits.
Very early stop.
I have seen it from him before.
If they don't have data on tyres, whether they're going to take another set or whether they'll keep the same. I'm not sure what's quicker, but normally
tyres. Just refueling.
Making moves. Just gas.
And Hamza immediately purple in sector 1 when he has clean air. And Witchell both passed Wolacott.
I'm going to point out as well, Dominik Kubinski has just gained 0.4 of a second on Migwan Hamza. He's really flying.
Less than a tenth slower than his fastest lap. Also the fastest lap of the race. Really aggressive entry to the pits. Oh no, wasn't even in the pits.
Just way they're in the pits, over the white line.
Also Wolacott in the pits. Let's see what Sereo and Wolacott are doing. They're going for fresh tyres.
Vandersbeck going to save as well.
going for fresh tires, Sereo stays on the old rubber. It's a little surprised that Hamza cannot really disappear from Kubinski. Kubinski seems slightly quicker.
Look, that is finally dragging that throttle through the corners. He's got his head round the harness TT. This middle section is just where he shines though. Look at that, a 10th purple.
But also Ridwan Hamza 5/10 purple. 500th purple, not 5/10.
I was going to say 5/10. One stays up for another lap.
Really close here to the track limits. Fastest lap from him, and Kubinski lost a lot in the final sector. Lucas Wake still on a good P3.
Kieran Kevin now in the pits alongside Van Hart. Losing even more time.
Kevin stays on the old rubber while Van Hart is going for new tires. Yes, maybe now the tire wear is really struggling, really wide here in the corner. Might give Lucas Wakey the opportunity to catch up.
Back as well with a slow outlap of 37.1 compared to a 35.5 from Ridwan, who runs wide. That's going to be a 3 seconds.
We're gonna see. Is he going for the same strategy Tyler Davison used with no fresh tires? Or is he doing the more careful way? He has the gap to Kubinski.
I think Kubinski has the option to take tyres. I mean, Ridwan, I think he is going to get a 3-second penalty for that pit entry.
Hamza stays on the tyres. Kubinski, new tyres. Also fresh tyres for Lucas Wake. And Van der Speck should now take the lead. But another... Oh no, Hamza is back on track. There's a 7-second gap to Van der Speck. And Kubinski has the better material now.
Happening on track at the moment, but Jake Witchell in the lead. I think he's going to be taking his stop this time round.
But it's only 14 seconds to Ridwan Hamza. Witchell is going for another lap.
Don't think he's going to make it on that fuel. Look at that. There are literally humans in that gas tank. Gas tank? Why do I keep saying gas? It's petrol.
Also, Tom Holland is going for another lap.
Kubinski gaining time on Van der Speck.
1.5 second penalty. Care too much about it. Van der Speck with a 1 second penalty, and Kubinski in his rear.
Yeah, Witchell knows he's made a mistake. Look at that. He is...
Kubinski half-second penalty. The guys are at the moment a bit struggling with the track limits.
Any hopes of a second Jake Witchell victory is now dashed away. Ridwan Hamza touches the gravel slightly.
Yeah, and Witchell is short shifting.
Goes into the pits. One's going to do the same, but he's run way too wide. That's going to be a 3 second if I've ever seen one. 2, 4 and 5 there, look at this. Winsky and Van der Speck getting closer and closer. I think this is going to be a brilliant scrap.
Both kept it in the limits this time. Witchell and Holland are dropping really far behind.
Which was put on inters.
Intermediate. Interesting tyre choice. Can't remember a situation on Fuji when we see a top driver sitting on intermediates.
I think the only thing that's going to be making the track wet is the tears coming from Jake Witchell's eyes. Any hopes of a race win dashed away.
3 second penalty for Holland. Should bring Stein van Hart back in front of him.
Kubinski with a second penalty as well.
This one will hurt.
He's not going to lose him third, but he is going to lose him plenty of time to Van der Speck. He seems to be back in his element, back to where he should be.
Sergio now setting big pressure on Lucas Wake. Wake maybe a bit wide here. Everything seems to be fine, but Sergio is now...
just blasts past him. Lucas Wake doesn't put up a fight at all. Or does he? Because Serrao's just run deep and Lucas Wake takes the position back.
Brilliant prediction here from Lucas Wake. But I'm surprised that Sergio is still close to his PBs on 10 lap all tyres. His PB is not on Ridwan Hamza level and not on Jake Witchell level. And now Kubinski is 3.5 seconds behind Van der Speck.
Clouds do seem to be forming in the distance.
Jake Witchell absolutely struggling on these tyres. Is Stein van Hart going for the move?
Jake Witchell tries to fight it.
John O'Mill's about to getting lapped by Ridwan Hamza. Let's hope that he sees the blue flags this time.
Doesn't seem to. He just moves to the left and then moves back on to the right. I don't know what he's doing.
Man, you're a lap down. There's no need to fight the leader.
This is ridiculous. It's just poor behaviour. Well, there is no point at all.
Ridwan Hamza is showing his opinion on this behavior.
Why is he trying to take this? Just acting like a complete clown.
In this case, we don't even need a report, I think. This looks like a job for you.
Yep, it's looking like a straight disqualification, isn't it? It's just disgraceful behaviour. And he hasn't learned from the first race, has he?
No, not really. I mean, in this case, it won't have any effect because Ridwan Hamza is comfortably leading.
Oh, yeah, Ridwan's... I think this race is in Ridwan's hands now, but I think that defeats the point. It's still holding up a driver, and he finally lets him pass, but for God's sake, it's...
Van der Speck with a second penalty again. Might bring Kubinski back in range. Lap times are 0.8 quicker from Kubinski. Lucas Wake still a second ahead of Ruben Serrao. Cameron fighting with Woolacott. Cameron on a half-second penalty.
Just going back to that Van der Speck and Kubinski fight, even if Van der Speck
1.5 second penalty now.
1.5 second penalty now. Even if he keeps ahead, he's still got to get past John O'Mills. Kubinski is well catching up to him. Brilliant driving from Dominik so far today, isn't it?
Yes,
so a glimpse of it into Lagos. That win was cruelly snatched from his hands.
Currently, the guy I would suggest for the driver of the day, as he should be the only one for the double podium. Van der Speck moving off the line. Kubinski has the overspeed.
Has a look at the outside. They go side by side. Van der Speck pushes Kubinski wide. Kubinski takes the position. Van der Speck knows that was a bit naughty, and fair play to both of them. This is going to be an absolutely smashing one to watch for the last lap. Bumper to bumper as they come over the line. Going up to the first corner for the final time. Is Van der Speck going to have a look? He doesn't.
Goes for the good exit. Bit shaky on the car, but has the inside line now. Better speed for the Hyundai. For the Lexus, sorry. Don't even know my own car.
Go side by side up to turn 2. Kubinski tries to get his famous cut back, but not much yet. He's probably right where he wants to be in this middle sector.
Van der Speck covering the inside line. Bit wide here. Kubinski side by side.
Contact as he pushes Van der Speck wide. Van der Speck somehow holds it.
Catch the car.
I think Kubinski's going to give that one back, I think. Is he going to concede? Don't think so.
Don't want to miss the race winner. Congratulations, Ridwan.
He's back,
brilliant performance. He's back finally.
See.
Let's see if Kubinski is giving the position back. Oh, he goes for it.
No, I think this is going to be a straight swap, isn't it? Positions to that. Was some contact,
what we missed on the final lap is Serrao gaining P4 from Lucas Wake, but good result with P5. Kevin, I think best result for him with P6. Michael Woolacott P5 and 7. Great comeback. Stein van Hart P8. Jake Witchell will finish somehow on P9.
think they've just missed some rain, haven't they? The clouds have suddenly gone this miserable shade of grey.
And also Tom Holland, not the best performance from him. Jonah Mills, P11.
Let's save that replay as well, otherwise I'll...
Oh, Jake Winchell was hoping for rain, I think. The lobby setting lie. Well, there is a radar. So even with this little push to pass, in my opinion, Kubinski with the double podium is the guy to go with the... Quickly save the replay. For driver of the day, double podium, the rest.
Definitely.
Winchell messed it up in race 2. Hamza, however, this happened. Race 1 was not his day. Van der Speck was unlucky in race 1. Serreo consistent, but like usual, not that spectacular, to be honest. He's more the consistent guy. He's never the fastest, but just low on mistakes.
Consistent and keep picking up what's left.
Woolacott, I think, could be an option if he would have finished a bit higher in the second race.
Yeah, I mean, it's very impressive, isn't it? Just turning up, zero practice whatsoever, missing qualifying, finishing P5, just.
Yes, but this is if you keep yourself out of the trouble. This is absolute one key point in this league. If you can stay out of trouble, if you're hitting the strategy on the right point, going to the pits before you might get involved into any position fights, you can make big jumps. But yeah, even if it was not the tightest one for the win in both races, we had again really great position fights.
Yeah, definitely. There was always still a little something here and there, wasn't it? A battle that's starting to get bigger and bigger, and slowly became an interesting thing to watch. I think it's about that final little scrap between Kubinski and Van der Speck. That was a very touring car, very cool to see. You know, there was contact early on, and then they gave the positions, but yeah, I think they both know. Kubinski knows that he's going to get the position swap round, but overall some brilliant racing. There was some very poor behaviour, but on the other side, some very good behaviour.
We can. I don't like to put it on one driver, but I think from most of the guys we saw clean racing. We saw, yes, we are racing touring cars. Yes, we love to see contact, but on a clean way, and most of the guys absolutely delivering it. But yeah, also blue flags are one of the first things you should learn in racing. This was absolutely... If this is going for position fights, if Hamza's gap wasn't that big, I think he lost about 2 seconds on Van der Speck on worn tires. This could... if it was a usual, normal 3-second gap, what we see most of the time in these races, he would be back in striking range, just because someone is not sticking to obvious rules.
Yeah, and then and even then, you know, hitting the back of Van der Speck, who, you know, finally, I think I was looking forward to seeing Van der Speck finally back as he should be, you know, solving his input issues, or so we thought at the time. You know, instantly taking the lead, pulling out a slight gap, and then just being biffed off. You know, it's not what we want to see. And Van der Speck, he's got some poor luck in those series, isn't he?
Yeah, but I like always talking a lot to him. He's, I think, in previous seasons he would be a bit more angry, but he found a way to manage it a bit better. It is racing, and yeah, whatever it is, like what I always say to my guys. Of course, reporting helps to maybe make other drivers better or a bit more aware to what they do on track. But it doesn't make your race better. So there wouldn't, even if we could completely figure out what time loss it was on the incident, no one would give him back. And this is what all drivers should realize. And this also could stop random reporting for each and everything. And it also saves a lot of time, because I know a few guys who spend hours in the replays figuring out every single corner of every little driver. I don't even have the time to spend it on replays.
Yeah, it's... Yeah. So, I mean, people have way too much time nowadays, don't they?
Yeah, but we should end this stream with a bit more positive. We had again great racing. I think the individual drivers' championships will be closer together in both championships, in the Drivers' Championship and in the Tom Coronel Trophy. I think even with the poor result of Witchell, team spirit should increase the gap to Helix Racing in the team standings, because Van der Speck had this poor race on with the input issues on P11.
And Kubinski's had a solid pair of races as well, so he's brought home a lot of points. Let me have a look where he's in the standings at the moment.
He might...
he's definitely going to jump Ashby.
Yeah, and I think he will also jump with the 0 points now Davison. I think he was not that far behind him.
Yeah, other than that, I think that's everything. It's nice to see Woolacott back. You know, we've had a pair of different winners that we haven't seen so far this season as well. It's been quite a good one to watch, I think.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Let's check the calendar. Oh, it's Catalonia National.
That's going to be a good one. It was a very, very fun one the last time we raced there.
Yes, really funny. I can remember Ruben Serrello horribly crying about his lost win because he spun over the line.
I think we had Devil racing there as well. That was
Oh, was it? Yeah, I think... no, Devil was on Catalonia. We had in Catalonia last season, right?
No, it was the season
Yeah, it was
before.
Ruben in the WRX and Devil in the Hyundai Genesis.
Yes, yeah. I was in the Scirocco at the time, struggling.
Well, you might ask Woolacott how to drive it.
I got there in the end, but unfortunately it was the last round of the season.
Yeah, that is Suzuka. It's kind of a cheat code. If you know how to drive it, you're just quick. When we practiced for the GTRC GR2 event, we practiced with Iggy, with Pekka and all the guys, and also Devil, who was supposed to race there. And yeah, this is kind of a glitch. Devil in a GR2 on Suzuka. This is everything he loves. And then we decided, after he was 1.5 seconds quicker than the later race winner Iggy, to maybe not do it. But yeah.
That's everything then, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. So
We
next week in Spain.
Yeah.
Not the biggest travel from Austria to Spain. And so I wish everyone a good night. That's what it is. So see you lads, and good night.